Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Lowell Park for another edition of Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners Radio Network. Hi again, everybody. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry, as always, as the Mariners looking to get some revenge on the Katuitt Kettleers down here in southwestern Barnstable, as the Kettleers knocked off the Mariners by a final score of 2-0 yesterday behind a big home run from Dante Williams. And Tyler, yesterday just wasn't the Mariners' night at the plate, to say it simply.
Yeah, I mean they struggled to put up runs throughout the entirety of the game, and ultimately ended up coming up short. And you're not going to be able to get a victory in a game where you don't score any runs. So for Harwich, it's just going to be about putting the pieces together. I talked to Coach Dangler yesterday, and his message was just, we've got the pieces. It's just going to be about coming to the plate and finding a way to put a good barrel on the ball and make something happen. That's all Harwich really has to do, and they can make a run here. The pitching has been exceptional over the course of the last couple of weeks, and they just haven't been getting a whole lot of support.
Speaking of exceptional, Connor Seckler will be on the mound out of Mississippi State for the Harwich Mariners, and he's been pretty special this season. We all talked about Logan Allen and his first couple of starts. Seckler has been almost at that level as well, having some pretty deep starts, not giving up a ton of runs. And Tyler, hopefully he can get some run support today. But as you mentioned, it seems like up and down through that starting rotation, there's just so much depth for the Mariners at starting pitcher.
Well, and they've had to have that because they've lost guys like Buddy Hayward, and you've got other players who won't be returning to this team that just had come out and kind of become good starters. So the other thing with starting pitching is they've had to go awfully deep into games. We've seen a lot of games where the starting pitcher will go 6, 7, sometimes even 8 innings with Jacob Polish the other day, and that's been something that's become necessary for the Harwich Mariners as their reliever core continues to get stretched thinner and thinner as the season goes on. So, they're going to hopefully be bringing in a couple of fresh arms, some reinforcements coming in. There are currently 3 open roster spots for the Harwich Mariners, and we know they're going to try to add a couple of arms to that. So we'll see who comes in and what kind of an impact they can make.
And looking across at the other side, it'll be Jackson Wolf out of West Virginia starting for the Katuitt Kettleers. And Tyler, the Mariners saw Wolf way back in the beginning of the season. I believe it was the 4th game of the year here in Katuitt. Wolf went 4 innings. He only gave up 2 runs on 4 hits in that 4-inning start, and it seems like he's been hovering around 4 or 5 innings every time he started. He actually pitched a couple of days ago out of relief in an inning back on July 10th. So, do you think in any way pitching that inning might affect the way he pitches today?
I mean, I don't really think so. I think at the end of the day, he's a guy that's going to be coming in here. He's going to have enough rest, and he'll be looking to get a good start here against a team that he's already pitched against once this season. So ultimately, I don't think it makes that big of a difference, but we'll see, what his strategy is going in here against a relatively revamped Harwich lineup.
And let's take a look at that Harwich Mariners lineup. And as you mentioned, a couple of changes, some guys in some spots that we haven't really seen this season, including the leadoff man, Daniel Cabrera, out in right field, the guy who has usually hit in the middle of the lineup out of LSU. He'll bat first. Nico Cavadas will be over at third and bat second instead of his trademark cleanup spot. Christian Fedko out of UConn will be the DH in this one and bat third. Joey Weimer in the cleanup spot. We've seen him bat leadoff a ton this year. He will bat fourth and play center. Dylan Noisy, the shortstop out of Texas Tech, will bat fifth. Chris Lanzilli out of Wake Forest, the first baseman, will bat sixth. Mike Rothenberg out of Duke, catching and batting seventh. Chris Galland out of BC will bat eighth and play left field. And rounding out the order out of LSU, the second baseman, Hal Hughes. Now looking over at Katuitt, the guy who actually closed out the game yesterday for the Kettleers, pitched 3 innings, striking out 7 batters, including the final 6 he faced. Matthew Mervis will DH and bat leadoff. Aubrey Major out of Xavier will bat second and play right. Mason McWhorter will play first and bat third. Robert Martin, who was in the lineup yesterday out of FSU, will play left and bat cleanup. Dante Williams, who was responsible for both runs scored for Katuitt in last night's game out of Arizona, will bat fifth in center field. Joey Lorpofito, the second baseman out of Duke, will bat sixth. Colton Kessler, who was used as a defensive replacement yesterday out of Kentucky, will bat seventh. Casey Schmidt, the third baseman, will bat eighth out of SDSU, and he will play third. And the shortstop, Adam Oviedo, will bat ninth and play short. So for the Katuitt Kettleers, they are coming in on, I believe it is a 2-game winning streak now. I'll have to double check that. But Tyler, they've been able to keep pace with the Gatemen up at the top of that Western Division. And how important is that to have a good seed when you have such a top-heavy division like the Western Division?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very important for them. You look at the Hyannis insurance policy, as some people have called it, as we're actually going to have the national anthem here in a moment, it looks like. So we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about that insurance policy here on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Welcome back to Lowell Park. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry bringing you coverage of this afternoon's Harwich Mariners baseball game between them and the Katuitt Kettleers. And just had ourselves quite the ceremony, Tyler, with several servicemen out honoring our country with the raising of our flags, of course, and then, of course, a great national anthem as well. And I think it shows how much this Cape Cod Baseball League really appreciates the men and women who serve our country.
Yeah, it certainly does. And people that are willing to, go out there and put their lives on the line every single day to make sure that our freedoms are protected, they should get that kind of reception. So good to see that here at Katuitt, and good to see some baseball about to be played here in just a few moments. We were talking about the Western Division playoff race and how important it is to try to steal that top spot. And here's why. If you don't steal the top spot, you're going to be playing against one of three teams, probably. It's either going to be 15-11-1 Wareham, 14-11-2 Katuitt, or 13-10-1 Falmouth, who still have a few extra games to play and could jump up. But if you get the top seed, here's what you're looking at. You're probably going to be playing a Bourne team that has not looked very good this year. They're 10-15 right now, currently sitting 7 points out of the second spot in the West. So there's a lot on the line here for Katuitt, and while they do have the insurance policy of a Hyannis team who today could very well pick up their 20th loss of the season before picking up their 7th victory, you definitely want to put yourself in a spot where you can advance to the second round and give yourself a shot at the Cape League crown.
All right, so the Katuitt Kettleers take the field wearing their red, as always on the Cape. The home team is always wearing red uniforms in honor of our men and women who serve the country. And let's take a look at that defense for the Kettleers. Over at the hot corner at third base is Casey Schmidt. At short, Adam Oviedo. At second, Joey Loperfido. And at first, it is Mason McWhorter. Left to right in the outfield, Robert Martin in his first action in this home-and-home series. Dante Williams back in center. Aubrey Major back in right. And behind the dish is Colton Kessler. He will do the catching for the starting pitcher, Jackson Wolf, once again, who is out of West Virginia University. And this year he is 0-1, but some pretty solid numbers across the board. ERA of 2.89 and 18 2/3 pitched. Just given up 6 earned runs in that span. 16 strikeouts to go along with 5 walks. So, Tyler, this is a guy who likes to pound the strike zone and isn't really big on letting guys reach base via the walk.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we saw a couple of days ago. Actually, the last couple of pitchers we've seen, but Reed Johnston yesterday for Katuitt, another guy that likes to just hammer the zone. You start to wonder whether or not that has more to do with the pitching coaching going on here at Katuitt, or whether that's just the way that those guys operate. But Wolf's another guy who's going to pound the zone. He's not going to give Harwich a whole lot of meaty pitches on the inside, but he's definitely going to make it hittable, and we'll see whether the Harwich bats can adjust for a team that didn't score a single run yesterday and only mustered 2 hits.
Lowell Park, one of the 3 venues across the Cape without lights, so we got the early start today at 5 p.m., hoping to get a full 9 innings before darkness envelops the Cape. And leading things off for the Harwich Mariners is going to be Daniel Cabrera, the right fielder out of LSU, and he's been a guy who has really produced in spurts so far this year. We've seen him have a couple of games where he's had upwards of 3-4 RBIs, including a second game against Harwich, or against Hyannis, where he had his one and only home run of the season. And Tyler, a lot of right-handers in this lineup after you get past the first 2 hitters. It's Cabrera, Cavadas, and then Fedko, Weimer, Noisy, Lanzilli, who are all right-handers, followed by the switch-hitting Rothenberg and 2 more righties after that. So I'm sure Coach Englert knew that there was going to be a lefty on the mound, and he planned accordingly, as he's got 3 left-handed hitters on the bench. And the lefty, Daniel Cabrera, will dig in as we are just moments away from first pitch.
Yeah, and I actually think Cabrera's been producing much more consistently recently. It seemed like he did go in spurts for the first week, maybe 2 that he was here, but since then he's been pretty consistent. I have no problem with him hitting here in the leadoff spot. I actually like the move by Coach Englert to put a guy who reaches base more than anybody else on the team up there to start things off.
Jackson Wolf toes the rubber, works from the windup, and the first pitch of this one is tapped foul over towards the Harwich dugout. Cabrera had 1 of 2 hits for the Mariners in last night's contest, the other belonging to Dylan Noisy, who will bat 5th. The 1-0. There's a hard hit ball right to short on a hop played by Oviedo. Long throw is in time, so it's just 2 pitches, and the leadoff man is retired to begin the ball game.
Yep, more efficiency here out of Jackson Wolf. It's the same thing that we saw last night, and we'll see whether Harwich can adjust, but here comes Nico Cavadas sitting in a different spot. He's been the Harwich cleanup man for the last couple of weeks, and here he'll take his hacks in the 2-hole for the first time, I believe, all season. I don't think we've seen Nico there in the 2-hole at any point this year.
Katuitt has won 2 of 3 games this year against Harwich. First pitch to Cavadas misses up and away for ball 1.
Took a lot off that one. Looked like something off speed, obviously, coming in at about 74.
Cavadas hitting .265 on the season. He swings at 0-1 and fouls it off to the left.
And you get the feeling maybe a chance for Cavadas to kind of step back and think things over here after breaking the 11-game hitting streak. He has a chance to just kind of settle in and play some baseball. Doesn't have to focus on that anymore.
So here's the 1-1. And that ball's hit hard on the ground past the diving attempt by Joey Loparfido into right field for a base hit. So Nico Cavadas, after having a couple of rough games back-to-back following that lengthy hit streak, as you mentioned, he's back on track with a one-out single in the first.
Yep, and here comes another guy looking to bounce back. It's Christian Fetko, who is still probably one of the best hitters here in the Harwich lineup, and this time he'll get a chance to hit ahead of Nico Cavadas as opposed to behind him.
So Fedko digs in. He's got 9 walks on the season, a lot of them coming recently, and that is good enough for a tie of the team lead along with Joey Weimer, who sits in the on-deck circle. Wolf working from the stretch for the first time. A look over, and he will throw Cavadas with a very small lead, but he's back to the bag in time.
Yeah, Nico, not one of the big speed threats on this team. For a team that's got speed 1 through 9, maybe 1 through 8 is Cavadas. Not a big threat to steal, but taking a pretty decent lead over there, and probably not one of the guys we're going to see challenge things if a ball is hit into the outfield. Don't know whether he'll try to swipe third or not.
Wolf's first pitch to Fedko misses down and in for a ball. Middle infielders Oviedo and Loparfido, both in double play depth, playing relatively close to that second base bag. Casey Schmidt playing behind the bag over at third. So Katuit aware of the power that Fedko possesses, especially when hitting the ball to left field. The 0-1, or the 1-0 I should say, misses down and in once again, so it's going to be 2-0.
Yeah, and guys continue to just not give anything too fast here to Christian Fetko. The last time he saw a fastball, it's been quite some time, and at least one in the zone. So guys have really kind of calmed down on offering pitches that he likes.
Wolf comes set, and is 2-0. Down and in once again, so maybe a planned approach here to Fedko, not only throwing him a lot of off speed, but keeping the ball low and inside on him.
Yeah, and he's fallen behind here, though, as so far nothing doing for Christian Fetko, not looking to chase anything, and Jackson Wolf's going to have to focus up and put something in the zone. Fetko may have a green light here, even with a 3-0 count, if there's a fastball down the middle to his liking.
3-0, and that one is going to catch the low and inside corner, so not straying away from that strategy is Jackson Wolf, and he's trying to battle back here. 3-1 the count. Cavadas with a decent lead off first. And Wolf's pitch. And that one's going to catch the corner as well, and Fedko not too happy with that as Wolf continues to sit in the high 80s with his fastball. Last couple have been clocked at 89 miles an hour. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 away here in the top of the first. And the pitch from Wolf is chopped foul over towards third base coaching box.
Yeah, pretty good snag over there for the Harwich third base coach. So the count stays full here on Christian Fetko. He's been a patient hitter all year long, and he talked about it even here recently when he hasn't necessarily been able to find his way on via hits. He has been able to work walks and just kind of remain patient and do what's within his power to do. But he'll be looking for another breakout game here after hitting as high as 390 just a week ago.
Fedko's reached base in each of his last 5 games, and the payoff pitch will have to wait as another throw over from Wolf.
Trying to check the dangerous speed of Nico Cavadas over there at first base, but we've seen guys, when they check over to first like that, sometimes they're not quite as focused and the next pitch can be out of the zone. So with a full count, I'm kind of surprised that he didn't go right at Christian Fetko.
Wolf ready, the 3-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3 is he went up and away on that one, and Fedko couldn't catch up to it. He strikes out for out number 2 to begin the ball game.
These are the innings that Harwich has been doing a good job of scoring in historically. As I kind of took a look at this earlier today, and when you look at the first 3 innings of a game, the Mariners have outscored their opponents by 2 touchdowns over the last 15 games, 21 runs scored to only 7 runs allowed. So through 15 games, they've given up less than 10 runs through the first third of the game.
Joey Weimer out of Cincinnati. The first pitch to him, he swings and misses in the dirt for a swinging strike.
Weimer, a guy that jumps out on the first pitch quite a bit, and it's worked to his advantage this season, as A lot of times guys like to try to get ahead, putting something in the zone. Weimer's been keen to that, and here he swings through an off-speed pitch that misses low to fall behind 0-1.
The 0-1, check swing, the appeal down to first, and yes, he did. So Weimer falls behind 0-2.
That'll
He's the tallest position player on this Harwich Mariners roster at 6'4".
Yep, and you can tell in his stance too, the way he holds the bat kind of up there above his head almost before he takes a swing, it makes him look even taller.
Wolf looks over at Cavadas. He comes home, the 0-2. Just misses the outside corner as Colton Kessler tried to frame it, but didn't get the call, and that one jumped up to 92, so we'll see if Wolf's velocity picks up after he gets a couple of fastballs under his belt. As I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Wolf made his first relief appearance a couple of days ago in a 6-4 loss against the Bourne Braves. Katuitz's rallied to score 3 runs in the ninth, but it wasn't enough. The 1-2 is chopped foul to the backstop.
Yep, so Weimer doing a good job here of just staying alive, fighting off another pitch, and may have caught himself there a little bit as he kind of takes a long walk back. Want to beat really quickly to anybody who was watching the broadcast yesterday and anybody who wasn't. Cam Bauman is okay. We got confirmation on that. He got some stitches on his lip, but he will be fine. So very, very reassuring news for all of us to hear that Bauman's going to be okay.
1-2 misses low in the dirt. I believe that's now 3 guys this season who have had to have stitches at one point or another. You had
4 actually.
Oh, 4 because we had
Because
Boyle.
Joe Boyle, yeah.
Yep.
Although Boyle's, of course, was a non-baseball injury.
Yep.
You got some friendly fire from Nico Cavadas, who was trying to start a fishing boat.
Wolf's 2-2 to Weimer. Swing and a miss, strike 3, so Jackson and Wolf able to close out a scoreless top of the first inning with back-to-back swinging strikeouts on the Harwich Mariners, and the side is retired. So Harwich able to get a one-out single from Nico Cavadas, but that's all they'll do. Katuitt will have their first ups coming up next. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners Radio Network. No score as we head to the home half of inning number 1 from Lowell Park here in Katuitt. Harwich Mariners looking to keep things scoreless and done a good job of doing that earlier in games, as you mentioned just before the break, Tyler, as starting pitching has been one of the strong suits for the Harwich Mariners. Another thing has been defense, as right now with a .978 fielding percentage, the Harwich Mariners have the best defense in the entire CCBL. And let's take a look at that defense with Nico Cavadas over at the hot corner playing third, Dylan Noisy at short, Hal Hughes at second. I'm so used to saying Hal Hughes at short because it seems like he's played there almost every game up until these last couple of contests, but he's at second today, and Chris Lanzilli over at first. Left to right in the outfield, Chris Gallen, Joey Weimer, and Daniel Cabrera, and Mike Rothenberg will do the catching for the starting pitcher, Connor Seckler out of Missouri State.
Yep, and Seckler will be looking for some run support here. He's pitched really well in all 4 of the starts so far this season. He's had his stuff working, but just can't get any support from his offense. That seems to be a trouble for a lot of different guys here on this Harwich roster. And the 2 losses that Connor Seckler's pitched in, he's given up just 2 runs. So see whether or not he can have a bounce-back outing. But again, he hasn't really made too many mistakes, just hasn't been getting a lot of support from his offense.
So in steps Matthew Mervis, who actually had a 3-inning save last night. Didn't allow a hit and struck out 7. Only batter he let reach base was via an error. First pitch to Mervis, the DH today, misses down and in.
So we'll see what Seckler's got in store here on a really perfect afternoon for baseball here at Katuitt.
And Mervis swings at a pitch and pops it up high in the air
Make
towards
a
the right
play.
side, and it is going to be out of play, landing in the bleachers.
That was the perfect angle. If it had been about 20 feet to the left, that we may have had a shot, but that one kind of tails off to the right.
And the pressure would have been on for us because if we don't make that play, it's probably going to destroy at least one piece of
Oh
our
yeah,
equipment.
this is expensive equipment, so one of our so it'll be a 1-1 count here.
Seckler's pitch is hitting the air out towards center. Weimer takes a couple of steps in, then trots back and makes the catch for out number 1.
You talked about it's been a while since we've seen Hal Hughes over there at second base, but for Dylan Noisy playing shortstop, again, we told this once before, but we'll say it again, he hasn't played shortstop since he was in high school. This is actually the 3rd or 4th time he's done it here for the Harwich Mariners, but he was converted from the outfield at Texas Tech. Harwich kind of had a logjam at that position, but they knew of his defensive ability and brought him in here as a shortstop.
First pitch is a breaking ball missing outside to Aubrey Major, who had himself quite the day yesterday. Went 2 for 4, reached base 3 times. And the 1-0 to Major is on the outside corner for a strike.
Yeah, for Connor Seckler, it's all about working fastball, slider, changeup, and he's going to try to paint the corners with all 3 of those pitches. And that's the one thing with him this season. His location has been exquisite.
There's a swing and a miss on an off-speed pitch. And another thing is how quickly he's worked, as he only takes about, I would say, 6 or 7 seconds between pitches. It's pretty crazy.
Well, most of that's due to the batter, not due to him. I mean, he's out there ready to go.
1-2 misses down low to Major. The switch hitting right fielder out of Xavier.
I mean, look at that. 3 seconds and he's ready to go. I mean, it takes the batter longer to step out of the box, shake off his gloves, and get back in there.
2-2 bearing down and in on Major, but he's able to fight it off to the right side.
And that can really play havoc for a hitter, too, because you're not used to getting into a rhythm that quickly. You kind of take time to think about the last pitch, think about what you know the guy throws, what he might bring your way. Seckler kind of denies you that opportunity.
And the 2-2 is swung on and missed by Major as a nice-looking breaking ball has him way out in front. And that'll be out number 2.
Well, Colin, this is a top part of the order that yesterday didn't do too much damage to the Mariners. It was the rest of the lineup that really came in and got the job done for them.
Yeah, outside of Major, I don't think anyone through the first 5 hitters for the Katuitt lineup had any hits. So Mason McWhorter looking to kind of change that today as he swings and fouls first pitch back. He went 0 for 2, but he did draw a walk and also had a sacrifice bunt late in the ball game.
And that's something we're going to see a lot of out of Katuitt. It's something Coach Mike Roberts likes to do. I got a chance to talk to somebody before the game about that, as the 0-1's going to be swung on and missed inside. So Seckler out in front here. But he said, you know, even for the guys at the top of the order, even for the guys that have all the power numbers and the home runs and are hitting 340, it doesn't matter. If it comes down to it, Coach is going to give them the opportunity and take the bat out of their hands and have them try to lay down a bunt.
Check swinging a ball in the dirt, 0-2, but McWhorter able to hold up. McWhorter out of Georgia Southern, hitting .303 on the season. Still looking for that first run, or first home run. He's driven in 6. And the 1-2 is a half-hearted swing that sends the ball foul down the left field line out of play.
Yeah, Chris Gallen playing out in left today. We saw what he could do back at White House Field a few days ago, showing off the defensive range, as a couple different times he came screaming into the Harwich bullpen and once was able to make a pretty good play.
1-2 is hit on the ground towards second. Hughes charges and bobbles it, and that's going to be an error on Hal Hughes as McWhorter's able to reach base safely. So the inning will continue, and now Robert Martin will get his first chance against the Harwich Mariners this season.
And you wonder how much longer they're going to let the Hal Hughes at second base experiment go on, because let's be honest, he's been one of the best defensive shortstops we've seen in the league all season long. He's made a couple of ridiculous plays, but when he's been moved to second, that's the 3rd error that he's had this year, and I get that it's a different scenario, it's a different side of the field, but he just doesn't look very comfortable playing over there at second base.
First pitch to Martin misses outside, and yeah, as you said it, he has looked so strong over at short, but second's been a little bit of a different story. Christian Fedko, who's usually at second, will DH today. 1-0 is fouled straight back towards the parking lot.
I mean, you also take a look at, it's not like he has one of the more essential bats to try to keep in the lineup, as this year Hughes is hitting just a $140. So, you know, you can give him an off day and then bring it back in at short a day later if you want to keep Noisy's bat in the lineup. But throw over to first is unsuccessful.
Seckler's starting to go to the fastball a little bit more as he started out Martin with a couple of them. That last one hitting at 91 miles an hour, the 1-1. Now back to the breaking ball, and it's on the outside corner for a strike.
Yep, working very quickly here. And again, I mean, this is the kind of thing that he's had to step up and face. It's just about painting those corners, finding the location, and really utilizing the changeup to the best of his ability as well. Probably one of the best pitches that he has.
1-2's a fastball hit the other way into left field for a base hit. Chris Galland will play it, and that is the first base hit of the ball game for the Cotuit Kettleers as Robert Martin does a great job going the other way with a pitch, and now all of a sudden it's 2 on with 2 away in the home half of the first.
Well, and here comes Dante Williams, who had a couple of monster hits yesterday, including a solo shot that could have been the difference in a game where Harwich didn't score. So arguably the hottest hitter in the lineup here coming up against Harwich with 2 on, and we'll see whether it happens or not, but boy, that error could really come back to bite him here.
Williams with that home run back in the second inning in yesterday's game. Lefty digs in, first pitch from Seckler, and it's going to go back to the off speed for a called strike as that hit from Martin came off of the fastball, so you wonder if Seckler might go back to the off speed, which he's had a lot of success for. You got Major swinging on a breaking ball. McWhorter on second, Robert Martin on first. The 0-1 misses outside for a ball.
And of course, in addition to having the solo shot, Dante Williams also had the only other run scored of the day for the Cotuit Kettleers yesterday. So he scores both of the runs in a 2-0 victory over the Harwich Mariners at White House Field. Now looking to make something happen here at Cotuit's Lowell Park.
1-1 from Seckler is chopped towards first base side. Chris Lanzilli plays it on a hop. He will run over and tag first for out number 3. So despite a couple of 2-out base runners for Cotuit, they are unable to score. We're through 1 from Lowell Park, 0-0. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners YouTube Network. Jackson Wolf heads out for his second inning of work as Harwich Mariners, despite giving up a couple of 2-out base runners on an error and a single, they were able to work out of the inning. And Tyler, I think that's something that we've seen a lot from Seckler this season. When he has given up base runners, he's done a good job of stranding them.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why he's only given up the 2 runs in each of his 2 losses so far. Now comes the important part, and that is, can Harwich provide this man with some run support? It'll be the middle of the order. Dylan Noisy, Chris Lanzilli, and Mike Rothenberg looking to do that here in the second inning of play. But for the Mariners, the offense is going to have to come sooner or later. Over their last 15 games, they have given up just 2.8 points a game, but they're scoring just 3.3. So despite being on the upper end of that, they've lost 9 of their last 15.
First pitch swinging is Dylan Noisy, and he fouls this pitch off to the right side.
And I had a chance to talk to Coach Englert about this yesterday, and he said, you know, it's got to be that wiffle ball mentality. You just have to worry about putting the bat on the ball and letting the hits come to you. He said the guys seemed a little bit too intense. They're trying to make things happen too much. Just got to go out there, put the barrel on it, and see what happens. This next pitch is fouled away from Dylan Noisy. And, you know, I got to agree with what we've seen. It seems like sometimes guys are trying to put one over the fence or, they're just overthinking what pitch they're going to get. You just got to go out there and play some baseball, have some fun, and, let the rest come to you.
0-2 to Noisy, misses low. And another thing that kind of exhibits that aggressive or overly aggressive at sometimes approach to the plate is that the Mariners are dead last in the entire league in walks. So discipline's been a little bit of an issue for Harwich as that pitch misses outside for a ball to make it 2-2.
They're also one of the only teams that has actually played the full 27 games that have been scheduled so far. So, or actually 27 of 28. There are teams that lag 2 and even 3 points behind when you look at teams like Falmouth.
2-2 to Noisy. Just misses the outside corner as it seems like this strike zone's kind of been centered towards the inside part of the plate. We saw Wolf attack there on Fedko last inning. Let's see if he comes inside on Noisy with a full count. From the windup, the payoff pitch is swung on and hit again off to the right side, foul out of play.
Yeah, that's Larry Rosenberg behind home plate. Let's set the other umpires as well. It's Jeff Merzell over there at first and Thomas Gandolfo over at third. Yes, that's his real name, Thomas Gandolfo.
Gandolfo the Great.
Yes.
The 3-2 pitch is low and inside for ball 4, so right on cue, Noisy able to take the stats that I just provided and stick it right in my face as he walks down to first for a leadoff walk to begin the second.
We have had a habit of doing that recently, so I think we should talk more about the offensive ineptitude here of Harwich over the last 15 games. Partially kidding, but there have been, 2 Nico Cavadas home runs that have been almost direct jinxes by us, and there a walk by Dylan Noisy. So here comes Chris Lanzilli, who's certainly turned things around and righted the ship for himself over the past 15 games.
A pickoff move from Wolf. Lanzilli out of the lineup yesterday, but a couple of nights ago in Orleans, he went 0 for 3 with a walk.
Yeah, still hitting just 156 on the season, but that's not really indicative of what he's been able to accomplish here in the second half of the season. As another pickoff move is not going to be close. A lot of speed over there at first, though, for Dylan Noisy, and we've seen him take off on a number of occasions, so keep an eye on him.
Noisy with plenty of speed, playing both the shortstop and center field position, and pitch down and in on Lanzilli is foul tipped to the mid for strike 1. Chris out of Wake Forest made that trip to Omaha, and as you mentioned, it seemed like he's been seeing the ball a lot better ever since returning. Got a much-needed couple of days off. Runner going, the 0-1 is outside for a ball to throw down, and it gets away from the second baseman, Loperfido. The throw into third, it gets away. Dylan Noisy gets bumped into, and he's going to score.
How about that? So it's going to go down as 2 different errors, and Dylan Noisy, with the aggressive base running, is going to score from first to home on a stolen base attempt.
Unbelievable. And what happened over at third is the throw coming in kind of was up the line, and it got away from the third baseman, Casey Schmidt. So when he went to go retrieve it, he got right into Noisy's way and impeded his progress. So that was an automatic run. It looked like Noisy would have scored regardless, even with that obstruction. And with that, the Mariners lead 1-0. Pitch to Lanzilli's fouled off. That will make it 1-2.
So it's a stolen base and 2 errors for Dylan Noisy, who comes across to break the deadlock here. And that is a really, we've seen Harwich score a couple of runs with aggressive base running before, but nothing like that. His decision to try to take third was very quick.
Ground ball to the left side, and that is through for a base hit. So Lanzilli will keep the rally going as he reaches base with nobody out here in the second.
He have a decent speed threat of his own, and now Mike Rothenberg will have an opportunity to keep the inning going for Harwich as he digs in for the first time, and he's got Chris Gallen, one of the hottest hitters over the past couple of days, on deck.
Have to go back and check, but I believe it's going to be a throwing error on the catcher Kessler and a throwing error as well on the center fielder Williams. But everything happened so quickly, so I can't really confirm that as the pickoff move to Lanzilli is late.
And he took off immediately, too. It was pickoff move, and the first pitch home to Chris Lanzilli, he was gunning on.
First pitch to Rothenberg is sent high in the air, back and out of play. So Rothenberg, the switch-hitting catcher out of Duke, hitting a .182 on the season. The 1 RBI. Hitting from the right side against lefty Wolf, who comes set. And the second pitch is fouled off to the right yet again.
It's a really dark evening here at Lowell Park. You got plenty of cloud cover, but it just seems uncharacteristically not bright here for it being as early of a game as it is. It's only 5:30 here on the Cape, and of course no lights here at Lowell Park. So see whether this one is allowed to go the full 9 or not. But keep in mind, in games that are shortened by weather or a lack of lights, the Harwich Mariners are 6-1.
The 0-2 is on the outside corner for strike 3. Rothenberg disagrees, and that's going to be the third strikeout so far for Jackson Wolf, and the first out at the top of the second.
Yeah, I gotta side with Mike there on that one. As that looked to be pretty well off the plate, but it's gonna be called strike 3, and that will bring up Chris Galland here with a runner on first and one away. Galland's been in the lineup here the last couple of games.
Galland out of BC, spent a little bit of time with the Mariners last season, and a pickoff move. That ball was actually skipped over to first, but a nice stop by McWhorter.
Yeah, it looked like a half-hearted pickoff attempt there by Jackson Wolf, and he kind of spiked that one into the ground. He's fortunate that McWhorter was able to stop it, or they could have had another problem on their hands.
First pitch, no, we're going to have another throw over, so Wolf pretty worried about Lanzilli, and it seems like any base runner that's reached base, he's thrown over several times. So it's going to be, as the first pitch actually is ripped into left field, that's going to be a base hit for Galland. Lanzilli will hold up at second. The throw in is a little bit wild, but Wolf able to back it up. So it's 2 on with 1 away, and the Mariners really rolling offensively to start this ball game.
Yep, a walk and 2 singles. They've been able to get 1 run out of it, and they've got a runner in scoring position here with 1 away. We'll see if Hal Hughes can continue the hot bat streak that he's been on here recently and find a way to move these runners around. Yesterday at 0 for 3, but I believe it was 2 days ago, if not 3 days ago, he had a pretty good outing, including a pair of hits.
So as the pitcher and catcher meet at the mound, a confirmation as the 2 errors are charged to the throw on Colton Kessler, and also the obstruction is actually going to be the error called on Casey Schmidt.
Yeah, Schmidt definitely did come into the path, and not that it would have mattered as the ball got away, but he stepped in front of Dylan Noisy, so that'll bring the run across.
So Wolf will try to perhaps get a double play ball here, but easier said than done with the speed on the base pass and at the plate right now in Hal Hughes. He's set. A look over at Lanzilli, and he's going to bluff over at second. So Wolf continues to be paranoid about the base runners.
Chris Lanzilli's got some decent speed, but he's not one of the bigger speed threats on this team. He had just 3 stolen bases during the 2019 season, had 3 his freshman year as well, and just 1 last summer.
First pitch to Hughes gets away, and Lanzilli took a couple of steps, but will retreat to second as Kessler quickly recovering.
He may have had a shot, but definitely like seeing him play a little more conservative there, as it seems like Harwich has been burnt a couple of times, getting a little too aggressive. So Lanzilli stays in scoring position over there at second. Chris Galland stays over at first, and Hal Hughes, with a 1-0 count, digs in.
Wolf with the 1-0. And that ball chopped foul over the dugout.
Yeah, it was actually the game against YD where Hal Hughes had a pretty big day. He went 2 for 4 and had an RBI added to that. His first extra base hit as well as he roped the double into left center field. So looking for another performance like that here against a Kettleer squad that is pretty much a lock for the playoffs at this point, but still fighting for that top seed as we talked about in the pregame.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. The pitch is hit well into right center field. That's going to get into the gap and score a run. Lanzilli coming all the way in from second. He'll score. Throw into second, and it's a slide and a double for Hal Hughes as he continues to turn it on at the plate. An RBI double makes it 2-0 Harwich.
I think Hal Hughes may have heard what I was saying about his hitting ability earlier in this one, and it's going to be his second extra base hit of the year, an RBI double, and the Mariners are out to a 2-0 lead here over Cotuit early.
Chris Galland advances to third, and Jackson Wolf, who had some success against the Mariners in his first start against them, has given up 2 runs, 1 earned so far, and he hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs in a single start all season long.
Well, there it is, and one of those runs, of course, is not going to be earned, as that will prompt Mike Roberts to come out and have a word with his guy. One of the more hands-on coaches here in the Cape Cod Baseball League, and of course you can debate to death whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing. Personally, I prefer managers who don't try to overanalyze everything. They kind of go out and let the game let the game play itself out, and that's exactly what Coach Englert's done this year. He knows the pieces that he has, and he lets them go out and do what they've been doing their whole lives, and that's play a good game of baseball.
So with 2 runners in scoring position, will be back to the top of the order for Harwich and Daniel Cabrera, who grounded out sharply to short to lead off the ball game.
Well, with the speed of Chris Galland over there at third and only 1 out here in the inning, you get the feeling anything to the outfield is going to have a chance to score Chris Galland, or as he's known by his teammates, Crazy Chris. And we've seen Crazy Chris in full effect this year as he scored on a number of plays that most guys wouldn't have even thought about advancing on, but he gives himself a chance, and he'll have another one here at third base. Of course, another runner in scoring position as well as Hal Hughes stands on second with a double, so a ball in the gap. Good score, 2 here for the Mariners.
I think the same goes in terms of Gallen scoring for a ball that goes to the backstop. A very deep backstop here at Lowell Park, and with Gallen's speed, it should be a walk in the park to get home on any ball that reaches the green chain link backstop.
Yep, that's going to deaden anything that gets back here right in front of the scouts, so should be an almost guaranteed score, but it's going to be tough with a good defensive catcher in Colton Kessler, and he has to stave that one diving to his left as that thing just about did exactly what we said it would and rolled back here to the fence.
It was a breaking ball low and outside, and Kessler does a good job of keeping his entire body in front of it.
Tell you what, a walk's almost as good of a hit here, as good as a hit with Nico Cavadas standing on deck.
Wolf comes set the 1-0. And a breaking ball misses low and outside, so ahead in the count is Cabrera. And as you mentioned, with Cavadas on deck, the team leader in RBIs with 17, it's an opportunity for the Mariners to have a huge second inning and break this game open early. Wolf's 2-0 is fouled off to the left.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Cabrera is actually sitting in second or third in RBIs on the team this year, right behind Nico Cavadas. He's had a pretty monster season on the year.
Cabrera is, in fact, at the second spot with 9. A couple of guys tied for 8 right behind him, including Joey Weimer. The 2-1. That'll miss outside, so Wolf struggling to locate that off-speed pitch, and he falls behind 3-1 to Daniel Cabrera. Galland on third. Hughes on second. 1 away in the second. And the 3-1. Misses outside, ball 4, and Kessler's able to keep it from going to the backstop, but the bases are going to be loaded for Nico Cavadas, the team leader in home runs and RBIs, and Wolf's command really starting to drift as he surrenders his second walk of the inning.
Yeah, he comes out, and I'm sure Katuitt certainly didn't think they were going to have to get into their bullpen early in this game, but if things get broken open here, you get the feeling it certainly could happen. Keep in mind, the Harwich Mariners this season have not had a single grand slam, not one. I don't think they've had a 3-run homer either. I think the most has been a couple of 2-run shots, one by Nico Cavadas, one by Corey Acton.
I believe Cavadas did have 1 3-run home run, and I think that's the lone one of the season. But as you mentioned, a lot of solo home runs this year.
And no grand slams, not a single one.
But here's a great opportunity for Cavadas. 1 away, first pitch. Misses low for ball 1, and there you see Wolf continues to struggle.
Well, and here a walk literally is as good as a run, as it would bring one in. Clouds completely encircling Lowell Park here. It's getting awfully dark, and it's only 5:45.
Game has to only go 5 innings to be official. The 1-0. And that is a late strike call on the outside corner, 1-1.
It's a really late strike call. I mean, I personally agree. I mean, it looks like it was in the zone, but Larry Rosenberg took an awful lot of time to think about that one. The one thing that doesn't help Harwich right now is a strikeout. Double play would also be disastrous, but aside from that, almost every result would score a run here.
Wolf looks in, the 1-1. Misses high, and he's kind of all over the place. He's been missing low and outside, and that pitch almost airmails Kessler to the backstop. He's been having quite the adventure this inning.
Well, and that was supposed to be, I believe it was a fastball, it looked like, up and away, but just can't locate right now. He's clearly a little bit shaken, and he's pitching awfully cautiously here to Harwich's RBI leader.
2-1 is hit well out towards right center field and deep. Going back Williams at the track. The wall, it's off the wall. In comes Galland. Here comes Hughes. Into third is Daniel Cabrera. It's a 2-run double for Nico Cavadas, and the Mariners double their lead. It's 4-0.
I really thought we did it again. I was talking about the grand slam, and that thing was hit to the deepest part of the ballpark, right out to the 397 sign in straightaway center. Anywhere else in that one is completely gone. But either way, it's going to be a 2 RBI double for Nico Cavadas, and here comes Christian Fedko. Same scenario, 2 guys in scoring position here for the Mariners, and an excellent chance to pad onto this 4-run lead.
So the Mariners setting 7 to the inning so far, and still with 2 in scoring position, they continue to just pound away at Jackson Wolf. So here's Fedko. The infield coming in. They're looking to cut down the runner at the plate to prevent the inning from getting even worse. And the first pitch is hit well out towards left field. Going back in, making the catch is Martin, but tagging and scoring is Daniel Cabrera. It's a sac fly for Christian Fedko, and that is now 5 runs scored in the inning, 5-0 Harwich.
Yep, and that's about the best result you really could have hoped for there. I mean, obviously a hit would be better, but it's going to score a run, and now still a runner in scoring position with Cavadas at second here for Joey Weimer, who becomes the 9th Harwich hitter to come up to the plate here. The Mariners have now batted around the order.
So Weimer, who struck out swinging to end last inning, will look to try to get some revenge against Wolf and maybe find a ball in the gap. Bring home Cavadas. He'll be running on contact. The first pitch is hit well out towards left field, but hanging up for Martin. He's able to make the catch to retire the side. But a huge inning for the Mariners. They strike for 5 in the top of the second. We go to the bottom half of the inning. 5-0 Harwich over Katuitt. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. To the bottom of the second we go, and the Harwich Mariners coming off a huge inning at the plate where they struck for 5 runs, including a big 2-run double with the bases loaded from Nico Cavadas. So Seckler now pitching with a lead. The first pitch he throws is a fastball clocked in at 90 miles an hour outside for ball 1 to Joey Loparfido. Loparfido out of Duke. Batted cleanup yesterday. And the 1-0 is hit in the air down the left field line. Galland running towards the foul line, and he makes the catch for out number 1. So it's a quick start for Connor Seckler, and it's going to be much, much easier for him to pitch with this big lead after an offensive outburst. One of the best innings this season from the Mariners. We'll have to look back. That might have been the most runs they've scored in an inning this year. I know they scored 3 times, a couple of times in that game against Wareham when they won 13-4, but after the flyout by Loparfido, Colton Kessler tried to get something started with 1 away. The first pitch to him is in there for strike 1.
Yep, Kessler, like the rest of this Katuitt squad, finds themselves behind here and trying to make some kind of a comeback. Loparfido unable to do that on the first AB.
Kessler hitting 154 in the season. He lays that pitch off to even the count.
Well, again, this is a very top-heavy lineup here for the Katuitt Kettleers. 1 through 3 have been just exceptional this season, and then it kind of falls off a bit. Dante Williams has looked good, but the last 4 guys in the lineup have really struggled in 2019.
That pitch is in for a strike, so ahead is Seckler 1-2, and Kessler also prone for the strikeout. So he has gone down via the K 18 times this season. The 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3, make it 19, and that is strikeout number 2 so far for Connor Seckler. 2 down to begin the home half of the second.
And it seems like we see this with Connor Seckler a lot. It takes him about an inning to kind of settle into things, but once he gets locked into a groove, he is virtually unhittable. So we'll see whether he can continue that as he'll face off against Casey Schmidt, who's had his fair share of struggles here this season.
Schmidt yesterday picked up a hit in the second inning. He went 1 for 3. He also recorded a walk. And the first pitch from Seckler to him misses upstairs. Schmidt out of San Diego State University. And the 1-0 misses down in the dirt. 2-0.
Of course, with no lights, this game starting at 5 o'clock. Only one other game like that, and that is between YD and Chatham out there at Red Wilson Field in YD. The Red Sox currently leading 1-0.
Ball fouled straight back in between this inning, or in the half inning, I should say. Took a look at the weather radar. As of right now, it looks like there's a storm cell in the Providence, Rhode Island area, so the hope is that thing will miss us to the north. So we can get this game in. The 2-1 is grounded foul off to the left.
Yep, Seckler finds himself in a 2-2 count here, and again, that's kind of a fight for the top seed right now, as Chatham and YD are tied at 31 points apiece in the East, so that game not going to be helping out the 3 teams at the bottom a whole lot, as one team winning or the losing doesn't really change the outcome for Orleans and Brewster and Harwich. They'll be keeping an eye on each other as Brewster faces Wareham today and Orleans takes on Hyannis.
2-2 as Kessler chases a pitch up. Rothenberg looking to play it, and he gets under it and makes the catch for out number 3. So it's a 1-2-3 second inning for Seckler as he pitches well after getting some offensive support for his team. He'll look to get some more as the Mariners come back to the plate at the top of the third. We'll bring it right back on the other side of the break. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners Radio Network.